Here with Rice head coach Mike Bloomgren, not Holmgren.
Not Holmgren, Bloomgren.
But Bloomgren.
I like it though. I get a lot more wins when you call me Holmgren.
First off, we're here at Texas High School Coaching Association Convention. You have some high school coaches on your staff. What is the importance of adding not only just high school coaches from the state, but just in general?
Yeah, I think it's critical. Number one, I think when you're talking about Texas high school coaches, they're so incredible in terms of their time management, their commitment to the game. I mean, they're especially, I just said it in there, but the 6A coaches that are the head coach and the AD as well, like they do more than any other coach in this state. They work more, they have to be more organized, and they're also people that are committed to this game and study it like nobody else. So number one, they're great candidates to be on your staff. I think when you're talking about in this state and the way the organization is and the brotherhood, if you will, it can help you get a chance to get in front of those people and really let them get to know you when you're quote unquote coming in as an outsider. It's advice that Dennis Franchione gave me right after my press conference. And so my first trip wasn't to a high school, certainly wasn't to see a third party. It was to go to the THSCA and sit in front of Joe Martin, sit in front of Glenn West and be like, hey guys, I'm so excited to be in the state. Help me, tell me how to navigate this. And we talked about straight line recruiting right on down the line. And Matt Rule called me and he said, Coach, I'm just telling you, like you need to hire some high school coaches on that staff. And I was already going to, and on my first staff, I hired Drew Sabota from Klein Collins, and I just thought he was as good of a coach, so detailed. I just loved everything from his experience as a head coach to understanding the Texas High School Coaches Association, to watching him interact with his players, and the fact that he was comfortable interacting with players from any demographic.
You brought in John Kay. You also mentioned to me you brought in Derek Mason to kind of help a little bit, kind of oversee some of the defensive stuff. How important is it as a head coach to continue to allow new voices in that have been successful and learn from them as much as they learn from you?
Yeah, I think anytime we stop, if you're green, you grow. And I think anytime we stop learning, we're crazy. And especially when I have access to a guy like Derek Mason, like we're best friends and I have a chance to bring him in and help our staff and help us grow. And I lean on him so much. I'm like, hey D, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about this in the hiring process. He just talks me through things. When you've sat in the chair as a head coach for 7 or 8 years, you've got no choice but to have gone through a lot of that stuff and have those experiences. And it's always better to hear somebody's vantage point that's been in that chair. And that's what I love about Derek. And I really love the same thing about John Kay. Having him on the staff now is just really cool. And I joke, but I mean, he was 76-4 in his last 5 years, and that's not by accident. That's by being a great coach who can do a great job managing his staff and managing his team.
We talked for the black coaches story that I did and the minorities around the state at the assistant level. You have a black defensive coordinator. How important is it to put minorities not only on the coaching staff but in positions of power on that staff?
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important. I think, like, number one, everything needs to be a meritocracy. And when you got somebody like Brian Smith, who I shared an office with in New York, and then he left New York and went with Chip Kelly to the Eagles and to San Francisco, and then he's with Jim Harbaugh and Don Brown at Michigan. Like, that's the best coach I could hire, and it's somebody I trust completely. So it wasn't just about him being black, but it's certainly not going to be something that I hear people talk all the time that like, hey, this advancement needs to happen because somebody's black. I don't know about that, but I think we need to give people the opportunity they deserve. And on our first staff, we had Brian Smith as the defense coordinator and Jerry Mack as the offensive coordinator, who's moved on to Tennessee now. And those were the best 2 coaches I could hire. And the fact that anybody would ever not hire somebody because of the color of their skin is just ridiculous to me. Now, what I do want to say is I think as we talk about getting people the opportunity to coach in the quarterback room or to be a coordinator, those things we have to position people through their careers to be able to take those roles, because we absolutely need diversity across our staff. Because if you look at our rosters, we are diverse rosters, and we should make sure that we have those role models in place for our student athletes.
We were talking before, you're not Texan by birth, but by choice. What is it that you enjoy about this state, coaching in this state and just living in this state?
I love the people, I love the barbecue, and I love Buc-ee's.
That's a strong 3.
Yes.
That's a strong 3. You grew up in Florida, went to high school in Florida. You lettered in how many sports?
So we were just counting, and I got 6 that I can absolutely tell you I lettered in right now.
Okay. Let's go through the list.
Okay, so football, basketball, baseball, track, weightlifting, and golf.
Which one were you best at, and which one did you like the most?
So I love football. I mean, obviously, I've committed my life in a lot of ways to this great game. Loved football. There was a time where I was younger when I loved baseball. Like when I lived in Spring Branch in Texas, I loved baseball the most. Spring Branch All-American Little League, the All-Stars, all that stuff was so fun to be a part of. But as you got into high school, like football, my head high school football coach became a father figure to me, and he kept me straight. And I really think that's probably why my love of football intensified the way it did. But I hated track the most. I hated preparing, and I hated being in the blocks, but I know it helped me throughout my career. But yeah, my claim to fame that when I knew that polls aren't worth much, the superlatives in the yearbook have me voted most athletic, and I think that's probably because of the number of teams I participated in. David Ross, who's now the manager of the Cubs, is my high school classmate, and he played in the major leagues for like 19 years. I think he's probably the most athletic in our class, looking back.
What's the golf handicap these days?
Ooh, it's bad. It's bad. Haven't played a full round since my oldest was born. He's 17 now.
Okay.
I always keep thinking my boys will get into golf, and that'll bring me back. It just hasn't happened yet.
Right. Where has the improvement happened the most on this Rice roster since the first time you stepped on campus?
It's the players. It's the talent level, and the fact that we knew we had to raise the ceiling and we had to raise the floor as well to be able to practice, to be able to have depth, and we have both of those things now. I think we have some people that are very talented and can perform at a very high level in the American Conference, and we have depth behind it and people growing behind it, and talent that I hope will emerge as we get into fall camp.
Bowl game last year, moving to a new conference this year. Is the excitement as high as it's been since you've been at Rice so far?
I hope so. It is from my chair. It is when you talk to my staff. It is when you talk to our players. Like, it's an exciting time to be part of the Rice football program right now.
All right, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.